Hi sir, to you all viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. in Douala. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Majestarist right away. Tears again today in Mamfe in the Manu division of the Southwest region. That was during the official funeral ceremony of those who were killed during the Egbekpo massacre some time ago. We still remember armed men burned several people in their sleep while shooting some to death in Egbekpo in the Manu division of the Southwest region. The funeral ceremony was presided over by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalabilai. And what is the fate of Colonel Siketi Floraime, former judge of the Supreme or the Military Court in Yaoundé, after a presidential decree relieved him of his functions? An explanation of a lawyer in this newscast. Viewers, those were our Majestarist details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for being with us in this edition of the news. We told you in the headlines, viewers, that there is tears in Egbekpo in the Manu division of the Southwest region today during the funeral ceremony officially of those who were killed by armed gunmen. That was some time ago. The ceremony was presided over in Mamfe by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalabilai. Let's now have more with our reporter, Innocent Aze.
The Wednesday 13th December 2023 appointment at the military court in Yaoundé cannot be disassociated from the Martinez Zogo capital murder case. Renowned human rights lawyer Barrister Tamfo Richard says he is not surprised by the appointment.
We are all aware of the recent saga at the military tribunal in Yaoundé, and these appointments are in principle related to the Martinez Zogo case. So I believe that if there have been any appointments, it's maybe to restructure the organization of the military justice system.
Among the appointments was that of Colonel Z. Narcisse, appointed as both the examining magistrate and the vice president of the Yaoundé Military Court. An appointment seen by the Cameroonian public as a replacement of Colonel Sika Tieme, an examining magistrate at the Yaoundé Military Court, charged with the Martinez Zogo murder case file. Barrister Tamfo Richard clarifies.
The speculations that people are making as if they have depossessed the current examining magistrate who is handling the Martinez Zogo case, I think it's not true for now, because the military court can have as many as possible, 2 or more examining magistrates. So the appointment of another examining magistrate to that court does not mean that the current examining magistrate handling the case will be dispossessed of the file. So
he goes further to throw more light on the composition and the functions at the military court.
You have at the bench, which you can have a president, 1 or more vice presidents, and also at the bench, or what they call at the preliminary inquiry, you can have 1 examining magistrate or more. So if a vice president has been appointed who accumulates the functions of an examining magistrate as well, it means that probably there will be a readjustment of files which have been assigned to examining magistrate at the level of the military tribunal. So
Barrister Tamfo Richard, like most Cameroonians, wish that the Martinez Zogo case file be handled diligently in order not to discredit the Cameroonian justice system.
That was a report by Fomi Armstrong Sander on the replacement of the former judge of the military tribunal or court in Yaoundé. And now we come back to this other report. A state funeral has been organized on Thursday, December 14, that is today, in Mamfe in the Southwest region for victims of the November 6 separatist massacre. Speaking at the Mamfe ceremonial grandstand, Governor Bernard Okalabilai urged the population, traditional and local authorities to denounce and report the so-called Ambazonian fighters. A call for peace was also re-echoed by religious and traditional leaders. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
In these caskets, displayed at the Mamfe ceremonial grandstand are remains of 12 out of the 26 Egbekpo residents shot and killed on November 6 by armed separatists, amongst them a child. The state funeral organized to their honor put at the ceremonial ground people in and around Manfe subdivision.
We are weary and tired with the Ambazonian atrocities in Manu division. You see, what is happening in Manu division has never been our culture. Today, what is happening, we don't know how to shed blood. What is happening? They are our children.
To avoid further bloodshed in Manu division and other parts of the southwest region, Governor Benato Kaliabilai laid emphasis on denunciation of the separatists.
The key word is to denounce them. They are in our midst. They are living with us. So let all the leaders, beginning from the administrative authorities, right through the traditional leader, I mean the chiefs of the villages, denounce.
Robertson Tabenchong Ashu says hands are already up for denunciation of the enemies of peace.
They have the opportunity to drop their arms and join the Digital Center, or they will neutralize them. The population have now decided to give information to the forces of law and order.
Calls to end the killings in both southwest and northwest regions have been re-echoed.
We have done all in our power to bring peace in our land. Fight for this land and give us peace. Can we clap our hands so that the prayer can be serious? Let God fight and let there be peace.
At the end of the funeral ceremony, the various families took away their departed for burial.
May their souls rest in peace. And now still talking about the security situation in the northwest and southwest regions. Now we take you to the northwest, where the Minister for Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, declares during a security meeting in Bamenda that only pockets of resistance exist in the conflict-hit northwest region. He was speaking just days after some students and teachers were attacked in Issue and a teacher killed in the Ndunga Mantung division. Details with our Northwest regional correspondent, Bustela.
Minister of Territorial Administration Paula Tanganji was in Bamenda to evaluate the security and political atmosphere that reigns across the Northwest region. The minister's visit comes at a time when just this week, students and teachers of the Government Technical High School ESU were attacked by suspected separatists and the school buildings burned.
We can conclude that things are coming back to normalcy. We have had sporadic attacks left and right because the criminals and the terrorists still want to give that impression, the false impression, that they are still very active. We say no.
Across the Northwest region, many have described the security situation as unbearable, referring to recent killings and kidnappings. Minister Paula Tanganji has therefore called on the population to collaborate in the peace-building process.
We want again to thank the population for their collaboration. It is important for them to collaborate. And we want also to tell the motorbike riders who are responsible to join us in this fight. The motorbike riders, they should never again be a sector that these criminals can use to commit atrocities. We will, as from January, go into serious identification. And those who are not identified after the given period will not exercise that profession as motorbike riders.
While in Bamenda, Minister Paula Tanganji re-echoed the call for the separatists to drop their weapons and be integrated in the disarmament, demobilization and reintegration centers.
And now we talk something else. Fuel is still a problem to some automobile users in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. People can still be seen around town in search for fuel as the situation is still to be stabilized. Our reporter Smart Dikan Gabriel now tells us the situation of fuel scarcity in Yaoundé.
Seeing people moving with empty containers from one end of the town to another in Yaoundé for the past days has become a common exercise. The scarcity of fuel still remains a thorn on the flesh of its users. After more than 48 hours in search of fuel, Frank is a happy man. I left Oza to Gulf. I spent the whole of Tuesday in search of fuel. It was in the night that my tanker went dry on the Yaoundé-Simalen Autoroute. Many fuel stations still remain empty without fuel. Marie Chagwe, a consumer, explains, I'm told that is gasoil that is available. There is no super. I have not been able to go to work because when I came in the morning, there was a long line. I stopped at one point. In some areas of Yaoundé, queues were still very visible. On the stretch of road linking the Regi roundabout to Jamot, vehicles were on long lines waiting for their turn to consume, just like at Nouvelle Route Bastos. But road users say the situation is getting better. There is some changes, not like before. Many stations now have fuel. For now, it's okay, but before, it was hell. The lack of fuel in the political capital is also affecting road users. Leaving Messassi to Home Point, taxi drivers were demanding 1,000 francs, and for the bike riders, it was worse. The scarcity continues even though the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundu Esomba, had promised that the situation will be remedied.
And now the construction of shops and other buildings around green spaces in Douala, especially in the Douala 5 area, is now a cause for concern. According to the Minister for Urban Development, Celestine Kecha-Kutes, those structures must be demolished by authorities in Douala. Details with Babila Jonathan.
Housing and Urban Development Minister Celestine Kecha-Kutes tells Littoral Governor Samuel Dedone Vaha Dibois and Douala City Mayor Roger Mbassan-Dine to execute the demolition of this business center in the 5th subdivision of Cameroon's economic capital. The buildings are being erected on an area reserved for green vegetation in the Bonamusa, the low-cost housing site. In a 15 November 2023 letter to both authorities, the minister highlights the importance of leisure sites and the urban disorder and traffic jam that could emanate from the presence of the business center. This decision contradicts an earlier decision taken by the Cameroon Real Estate Corporation, an institution she leads as board chairperson. Close to 4 years ago, the corporation approved the construction of the business center. The approval was part of resolutions of its August 26, 2020 board meeting. Based on the resolution, the Director General of the Cameroon Real Estate Corporation planned the start of construction works on the site 24th July 2023. Despite the outcry of city dwellers and urban development experts, the construction work has been going on. Business activities are already going on in some of the buildings. The minister now backtracks and orders the demolition of the buildings 1 month after she gave the instructions to the governor and the Douala City Mayor. Business is unfolding as usual on the site.
And in a related story, urban development experts in Africa are expressing worries over poor urban planning and management in Cameroon. According to the experts, this has been a setback to achieving the Sustainable City project. They were speaking in a symposium which took place in the Douala 1 subdivision here in Douala. Our reporter Lucy Liengo is here on Thursday.
Poor waste management, pollution, traffic jam, mismanagement of green spaces, urban disorder, amongst others, have been stumbling blocks to achieving a sustainable city in Cameroon. These factors were tabled during an international symposium which brought together urban development experts in Africa.
Le problème qui se pose dans notre réalité africaine.
To Professor Essor Elame, Africa has lost its Negro values with respect to urban planning and management.
Modèle de ville coloniale qui est dépassé, largement dépassé.
He thinks the state needs to respect the traditional values of each community.
Il faut que l'État accompagne les chercheurs à réfléchir sur le ou les modèles possibles de meilleures et de bonnes villes africaines.
Another urban researcher, Professor Aretu Yab Zakari of the University of Chang, thinks an effective collaboration between local councils and universities is imperative.
We need a strong collaboration between councils and universities. A mayor can decide that I need something, then get in touch with a professor, a researcher. The researcher transform his ideas into a research project. Then go to the university and call for his colleagues, ask for them who is able to conduct such a research. If you are able, please come, we'll get in touch in collaboration with this council, and then the output of our research will automatically be applied, and this can lead to sustainable cities.
In the course of the symposium, the participants will expatiate on how to better manage the environment with the goal of achieving a sustainable city.
And now we talk sports. The sports minister has challenged the technical staff of the national men's senior football team to get just the best players for the African Nations Cup and urged the Football Association to mobilize supporters for Ivory Coast. Chief Professor Narcisse Muele-Kombi made those recommendations in the first preparatory meeting ahead of Cameroon's participation at the AFCON. Smart Jikan Gabriel reports.
Sport and physical education has called on the attention of the technical staff of the Indomitable Lions about the quality of players they will be taking to Ivory Coast for the Africa Cup of Nations.
Le manager sélectionneur veillera à sélectionner.
The national team coach should ensure that he has a complete team, competitive and performant, that can convince its supporters within and out of the country.
Une fois de plus, qu'impossible n'est pas Cameroun.
At a preparatory meeting for the AFCON, Chief Professor Narcisse Muele-Kombi also urged the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, to facilitate the movement of supporters from Cameroon to Ivory Coast.
Toutes les dispositions utiles et nécessaires.
Everyone should put hands on deck to mobilize the supporters who will be part of the tournament by giving them the necessary needs for them to be in Ivory Coast.
Selon les modalités convenues,
the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will be officially put on mission for the Africa Cup of Nations on December 27, 2023 during the handing of the flag ceremony to the team captain Vincent Aboubakar.
And now before we go, just to let you know that opposition leader Ousmane Sonko in Senegal is now one of the presidential candidates ahead of the election in that country. His candidacy was reinstated by the courts earlier today. We will be coming with details in our subsequent news editions. And that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Don't go away, Talking Point comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is a legal mind or a lawyer, and we will be talking about the replacement of the president of the military tribunal in Yaoundé recently in a presidential decree. Barrister Ewule Edward, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Let's now go to my questions right away. President Paul Biya, in an official communique that was yesterday, relieved the judge of the Special Criminal Court in Yaoundé, Colonel Sikati, of his functions after controversies of attempts to release from prison principal accused of the Martin Nesogo murder affair. Other military personnel charges were also transferred to other cities. Now, what is your reading of these transfers by President Paul Biya days after the conflict of communiques from the military courts in Yaoundé?
I don't want to dive into speculations. I'm a lawyer and I base on facts. First of all, we had seen from the onset that we had controversial information coming out from the military court in Yaoundé, and it was very disturbing, and it was a time for the head of state to come up to reorganize things as far as the military court is concerned. And it had so much to do with the issue of the independence of the judge. There were two controversial issues that came up, and so it was imperative for the head of state to come up to see that there is sanity. And we need a lot of transparency as far as our judiciary is concerned. We saw two controversial decisions, one releasing the two accused persons, one saying that it was fake. So we knew, as a matter of fact, that heads were going to roll. And unfortunately, it is the head of the president that has rolled. He has been replaced. And that is a prerogative of the head of state as far as the military court is concerned. The head of state has a prerogative to transfer those judges. And that goes ahead to tell us how we want the judiciary to be independent. Because if the judiciary is independent, they should only be transferred only after a higher judicial council, even in the military court. But that is not what we saw. We saw that the head of state can just transfer judges in the military court. And
now, Barrister, as I listen to you speak, it's like there should be some particularities before such transfers are made at the various military courts. Can you expatiate a little on what you're talking about, Barrister?
The military court. The military court should have a body that looks into file, that sees how people are transferred. But that is not the case. The head of state sat and said that, okay, there was a problem. He himself sat and took decisions. And that is what we are talking about, issues of independence of the judiciary. And it is very disturbing because even though we are saying that the changes were necessary because of the controversies, but we are still saying that we need a body which is independent to handle issues even of the military court. Because per our law, civilians are dragged to the military court every day. Amugu Belinga and Martin Eko, all of those are civilians, but they are being tried before the military court because of our laws. So if civilians can be tried in the military court per our 2014 terrorism law, we need a body, an independent body that is not the executive to handle the military court, to handle transfer, appointment of persons in the military court. Because why we are saying so as human rights defenders is that the executive can always use the military court as a rubber stamp in order to achieve their aim. If they see that you are an opposition leader, you can take it to the military court, and this is going to affect democracy in our country. So we think that we need our parliament to sit up, to see into this, to come up with laws that are going to help to change things in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister. Let's now talk something else. This week is being dedicated to the protection of human rights in Cameroon. You have been a fervent defender of human rights for some time now. Now, how can you assess the human rights situation of our country at the moment?
The human rights situation in our country is very disturbing, especially in the southwest and northwest region, and also in the far north. We also have serious human rights situations in Yaoundé and other places in the country. In the southwest and northwest, we have issues of mass arrest, prolonged detention. You have issues of killings. You have issues of clamping down on media freedom. All these things are happening as far as Cameroon human rights record is concerned. The Excellency, the Minister of External Relations, last 2 weeks presented a human rights report at Geneva. And you could see that the people said the human rights situation in Cameroon is still very disturbing. That is why some of us are standing very strong. And that is this 75th anniversary. It's for a clarion call to see that the human rights situation in Cameroon should get better.
And now, Barrister, before we go, few days back you were somehow recognized by the Canadian High Commission to Cameroon in a ceremony in Yaoundé for your relentless efforts at ensuring justice is served in Cameroon to Cameroonians. Can you tell us more about that, Barrister, and what were your impressions?
On the 7th of December 2023, I was being honored by the Canadian High Commission to Cameroon by an award, which is the Canadian High Commission Award for Human Rights 2023. This award means a lot to me because this award just when I goes ahead to fuel my determination to see how I can fight and defend the rights of the underprivileged. It is a big honor for me because the award was handed to me in Yaoundé at the official residence of the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, and was handed to me by Excellency Lauren Anderson, the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, in the presence of members of government, members of the judiciary, and also members of the diplomatic corps. It was a very grandiose ceremony, and in her speech, she said, among other things, that we should not end here. We should continue the fight for protecting the rights of the underprivileged, especially in the crisis region where we find ourselves, in the southwest and northwest. You know the difficulty that some of us have faced. We have faced threats, we have faced intimidation, but we have been steadfast to see that rights are protected. That is why I want to say in front of the TV screen that don't despise the little beginnings. We started like a joke, fighting for the rights of the underprivileged. Today, we are being recognized in the highest level. Now, more is still to come, and this is to encourage everyone who is doing a particular thing that do it well. You know, most of what I do is free of charge. All the cases I do is from my pocket. No organization or no NGO has funded any of my activities. I do it free of charge.
Thank you so much, Barrister, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Just to let our viewers also know that you actively defended Antoinette, who was taken to prison pregnant, and also you actively defended the cause for Wasisi, who was a journalist. Thank you again for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. And viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir in about 35 minutes or so, and the news in the French language at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.